All right. Welcome to, I believe this is the 4th episode of Tea Time, the first one of the year. Today we have Webflow product and design agency Relume with Adam and Damien. We'll be chatting who is Relume. We'll be talking about design systems, watching a live demo, Figma and Webflow demo. We'll hear a little bit about the Relume Design League updates, and then save some time for some Q&A at the end. So Adam and then Damien, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. Yes, my name's Adam, co-founder of Relume. I focus on basically like the product side of Relume, and also do a lot of like the marketing and content as well for Relume. So that's me. That's my role. Based in Sydney, Australia, and yeah. And then I have my man Damo.
Sweet. Yeah, my name's Damien. Yeah, lead product designer at Relume. Like Adam, mainly on the product side of the company, so not too across the agency side. But yeah, working a lot on Relume library, the new components and feature updates and everything that kind of happens on that side of the business. And yeah, likewise, also based in Sydney, Australia.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to have you guys on the stream. And if you don't know me, my name's Benten. I'm a web designer at Unfold. And then we have Yankee, Webflow developer at Unfold. We get to work together basically every day. Try not to annoy each other. But yeah, we'll get to chat everything Figma, Webflow, web design, product design. Should be good. So first,
yeah, I'm excited to
start with. Sorry, go Yankee. I just talked right over you.
I was just gonna say, I'm excited from a Webflow standpoint to hear about Relume, because to see how maybe we could implement it and learn more specifically about margins and different things like that. Because to me, it feels very compartmentalized, and like the things that Benten and Alex designed at Unfold, I feel that they're always outside of the box, but I know that you guys are going to do a really good job of showing like any design can fit into the Relume system. And so that's like the hurdle that I need to overcome with this library. And so that's why I can't wait to see it, especially knowing what we're going to see.
Yeah, nice.
That's
super interesting. Yeah. I don't know if any design, but like most designs, because I've seen some of Benton's work. Like I think it was that one with like the colorful heading text. I think it says pure or something like that, and like it floats around, and it had like a lot of illustrations. I forgot what project that was, but it was everywhere.
Creative South or something.
Oh, Creative South.
Yeah, Creative South. Yeah.
Heck.
That website would be an exception. So that website was crazy.
Wait,
maybe we could build that, but yeah,
Yankee dev that one.
we can get into it.
cool. Yeah, I mean, even if it takes it, makes it a lot easier to set things up in Figma, for example, like getting you 75% of the way and then being able to edit and customize. And then kind of the same thing in Webflow is getting a good kind of outline and setup going, and then editing going forward. That's a huge time saver. So that's what I'm most interested in.
Yeah,
cool.
I think that's like, the goal with everything Relume. And I don't know, we'll probably get into this in a bit, but getting like a lot of components and parts of websites are quite similar across a lot. And if you can get to that point where they're just punched out like 80% of the website in like, I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, then you can spend all your time on those like crazy parts of the website and having some sort of effect. So that's definitely like our goal, I think, with Relume Library and everything that we continue to add and continue to build is those parts that we can save people time and like the repetitive tasks and the things that everyone just needs to do, and they're a bit boring, a bit painful, but you just have to get them done.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's get started with like who is Relume? Like, how'd you guys start? How'd you come about? We'd love to hear kind of like the origin story.
Okay, yeah. So the origin story of Relume, well, it started with myself and Dan, my business partner, and so we started as like actually as a Webflow agency, or as an agency that builds websites. And we sort of started there because we always we had ambitions to like build a product and build products. And so we thought we'll start a website agency. We'll be able to be exposed to like a lot of different businesses, and then we'll form the idea based off just being exposed to lots of ideas. And that sort of happened, but it didn't really play out as we were expecting. And so, we were building a lot of different websites. We came across Webflow. It made the process way easier because we came from WordPress, and we're pretty amazed by the product. But as we began building like more websites, actually it got to a point very early on where Dan and I were thinking of just like sort of closing the business and going back to find a job, so to speak. But we were like, okay, let's just sort of have one more crack at this. And I think my last thing that I did to like sort of salvage the business was to like just redesign our website and on Webflow, and put all my energy into that. And so we did that, and we put it on like Webflow Showcase, and it got featured on the homepage. And literally we had like 2 months of like barely any work coming through. And as soon as we were on that showcase page, we had about 10 leads come through that following week. So we went from like 0 leads inbounding. A lot of our leads were like just cold out. A lot of our work came from like cold outreach, to like having 10 inbounds come in. And from that point on, we just had like this flow of work. So I guess we learned like that the Webflow community was like there was quite a force behind Webflow, and that this was a good wave to sort of surf. So then from there, it was a bit of a turning point for us. We started to do more projects, and we started to build more Webflow websites. Got to a point where we were like building the same nav bar like over and over again, or the same hero section over and over again. And Dan and I are like all about sort of productivity. We love productivity, and so which we're trying to like squeeze as much juice out of our hours in a day. And so we started like rebuilding reusable components internally, but at the same time we were like building clonables for the Webflow community, because this was like our marketing channel. And we're getting a lot of clonables and downloads. And so naturally we're like, well, why don't we just build a component library which we've built for ourselves the way that we would want to build it, because we had tried others in the space that wasn't quite the same. Actually, it was quite different. Why don't we just build it and release it to the community, because we already have like sort of people that like our stuff. And so I sort of like stopped doing any client work. We started like doing only contracting, like so any work that came in, we would contract it out. And so I just stopped doing agency work altogether for like 3 months, and I just doubled down on building the first version of the Relume library. So that's sort of our journey up until then. We launched the Relume library, and a lot of things sort of changed. We were able to scale the Relume library. I don't even know how many people we have specifically, number of users, but we've had like, I think over 20,000 people use the Relume library, which is pretty crazy to think about. And we've been able to bring Damien on board. We call him Damo, and also Slater, and we have Josh as well, and a few others. So we've been able to grow it, and now it's become like the core of our business, which is what we're excited to show you today. So yeah, that's sort of the origin story.
So basically what you're saying is, to all the people out there procrastinating building their websites, or freelancers or small agencies, if you just redo your website, then you'll start to get 10 leads. It's as simple
Honestly,
as that.
yeah. Well, I think we got lucky with timing, but yeah, honestly, I would put a lot of effort into your own personal website if I was starting out, because I've seen it happen before. It's not just us. Actually, Joe from FinSuite said the same thing, which inspired me to do it, and it worked. So I don't know. I've seen it happen before, so it's actually could be a play Using the Relume library, of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Quick plug. Yeah, and they just redid their website too, which is wild. Like that landing that year was wild. So wait, when did Damien join? And so yeah, what is Damien on? What do you all do
so
right
I joined. I think it's been 6 months now. So yeah, Adam and I used to work together a few years ago. So yeah, kind of reconnected, got back in touch, and obviously everything Relume was doing with the library and everything was super exciting. I think the key parts to me, I remember talking to Adam about it last year, before I joined. I think the key things for me exciting were, I think, like the key have such a close community, like everything they every month have like component day, which is when we release all of our updates and all the components go out, and just seeing like the feedback from everyone who's using Relume and being able to get direct feedback, whether that be good and like they're loving the components and really finding the library valuable, but also, you know, if there are things that they want to see and they're requesting components or they're pointing out bugs or they're like supporting other people. I was like, that's really, really powerful that I can be working on something and like directly seeing how that's impacting other people's workflows, other people's jobs. Because previously where I was an agent and projects will go out and you're serving kind of like one person at a time. And you don't have that really broad reach. So that was, one of the biggest parts for me, getting on board, and then obviously just working on a cool product that then like we use ourselves and like the agency side uses. So what I'm currently working on, I guess, is monthly or the component day updates, making sure we're continuing to add value to the library. Big focus on like uncommon components and some of the gaps in our library. Like recently we just put out portfolio sections, and we'll probably do portfolio like case study pages and things like that are just missing from our library at the moment. Obviously we're continuing to build in so people have those and can use those. And then also just new features. There's a few things kind of behind the scenes that we're working on. Any way that we can speed up people's time to go from Figma, their wireframing, they'll probably design in Figma and then move that across to Webflow and then build in Webflow. Any part of that process, and there's a lot that we talk about every day, every week, like, oh, it would be cool if we could do this or improve this in this way. Because like Adam said, how the library came about, like we use it ourselves. Like, I'm building sites for myself and other people as well, and we're using our own products, and we understand just as well as like all of our users as well, and they provide that feedback of other ideas and how we can save time in there and all those extra features. So nothing I can really go into detail too much on, but there's like kind of product updates apart from the components that I also am across from a product design perspective. So
I bet the portfolio pieces that you guys are building are going to be really popular, just because the Figma and Webflow space, it's not just agencies or people working at companies. It's just filled with so many freelancers. So that's going to be, I'm sure, huge.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's one of the key draw cards of Webflow. I remember seeing it a few years ago and just seeing like, oh, that would be so cool for me to build my own portfolio website, have full creative control over it. Like I don't need to get a developer to build it and do some crazy design in Figma that they can't build, or they kind of botch the dev side of it. Being able to do that myself was so powerful. Never got around to it. 5 or 6 years later, still haven't gotten around to it, but that's fine. But the spark is there. Exactly. So I think that's such a big market for Webflow and just empowering people to be in control of that. So definitely excited to get more out around that space.
Love it.
Yeah, when I first learned Webflow, it felt like it was magic. Like it was just amazing. And Adam, I got one more quick question for you, just going back to the story a little bit. How long was it between when you and Dan formed the company and you guys were building websites for people and until you guys pivoted?
So we started the company in like mid 2020. So after the pandemic sort of arrived. And then we started probably a year later, we started like the pivot. So yeah, I think it was halfway through 2021, and then we launched the Relume library in December or late November 2021. Yeah.
Cool. Well, you guys I'm excited to see this in action. And I mean, Relume is beloved by the entire Webflow community. So that's why I'm so excited to kind of see it in action from the source here.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'll see. We'll see if we change your mind, if we can convert you.
I get tired of building the same nav bar too. So
Yeah, exactly.
Well, do you guys want to get? Is there anything about chatting about design systems you want to get into before we get into the demo?
Design systems. Yeah. Well, I guess. Yeah. So, Relume could be a design system. When I think about design systems, sort of think of like a company has a design system to sort of like of like reusable components that like share a standard, I guess, or guided by like principles or a design language. And I guess you could say that Relume library is a design system, but it is a design system for the Webflow and Figma community. So yeah, I think it's interesting to think about that. We often think about like the principles that guide our design system. Like for example, one of them being like, we just don't want to have any opinion on design whatsoever, because we want our design system to actually not be your typical design system that maintains consistency of the look and feel. We actually don't want that. We want people to use our components and create something that's like so unique to anything else out there. So like we have a few principles in play to help us navigate that and make sure that people aren't building the same website that looks the same, which is a core thing to what we're doing. But yeah, when I think of design systems, I'm always like, oh, it's not really a design system, but the idea of reusable components definitely is. And I guess it depends on how you define it. But yeah, that's my thoughts on design systems.
Yeah,
I think
I was gonna say I got to see like kind of firsthand, that library just with the Relume Design League, which we'll get into later. Just how flexible it is. Like you can really quickly bang out a wireframe and then quickly style it, and the amount of time that it saves you is just amazing. So it's going to be really cool to see the Figma to Webflow flow in this demo. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think with the design system chat, it actually came up. A question came up yesterday that someone reached out to us, and we were talking about this in the office. Of like, oh, I'm building a one-page website. Should I have like a style guide or design system for that? And I think the power of Relume is that it kind of gives you that block. Like you've got the style guide page, whether it be in Figma or Webflow, that kind of gives you those foundations that you can really quickly actually build out like a design system. Or if you were or you're pretty not complex, but like a pretty thorough design system very quickly, because the tool enables you to do that. So then you've got those base elements to use like across your one page. It keeps that page consistent, or your H2s are the same, or your buttons are going to be the same. But it also just gives you the flexibility to then scale. Like for the moment, sure, you might only have a one-page website, but someone else might need to come into that website and add a section, add a new component, make some tweaks. In the future, you might need to add a page or two. And having that kind of like design system set for your website, even though it's only one page initially, I think is quite important to establish for just like good design principles and consistency and scalability, and allowing someone else to come into that. So if I had to create it from scratch, you probably start to weigh up the value. Okay, this is going to take me quite a while to have to organize this and lay it out, that you could just build the one page pretty quick and not worry about it. But I think using tools like Relume and resources that are online that speed up that process, I think it's a no-brainer just to do that and set it, and it just sets you up for success in the long term. and like just leads to good design and good design practices. So yeah, while we try to not have an opinion on design, we just try to enable people to have the resources to be set up for success in their own projects.
Yeah, to build their own system, their own design system.
Yeah,
we're like the starting place for that.
yeah,
But let's jump into it. I think we should
Good.
start demoing it. Yeah, cool.
yeah. That's it. So yeah, to start with, so for the demo, yeah, we're going to run through a Figma to Webflow build. Unfortunately, because my internet is terrible, I can't demo the Figma part like we intended, but that's okay. Adam will be my little puppet, and I'll be guiding him around the Figma side. So we have one of our key tools is our Relume library Figma kit, which is in Figma community for free, and it's essentially all of our components built nicely with auto layout, and matches one-to-one with our Webflow components for Relume library. So in this file, you can jump through, and we have all 950 plus components, I think there are now, set in there from all our like general feature sections with different layout options in there. Yeah, the nav bars, the footers, and everything in there. So that's always our recommended starting place for any project. As soon as there's a new project, get a new copy of this Figma file, and then everything in this Figma file is linked back to our style guide in Figma. So that's a central location that you can go through and then update all of your typography styles, all of your color styles. There's shadows in there. All of the buttons are linked up as components, same as the form fields and everything. So that gives you a really powerful starting spot to then be able to work on top and start to build out your design and customize things. So we've gone ahead and done that for our demo today. So we have used as our demo project Benten's amazing burger website design, which was from our very first RDL, which we absolutely loved when we saw it. So yeah, big shout out to you.
He did this in 30 minutes. That's what's crazy about this.
No
30
pressure.
minutes.
Mind blowing.
Stuff. Even like a solid brand took you like a minute to do, which is awesome.
Insane. Adam and I, yeah, were watching and then talking afterwards, and the rest of the team were like, wow, 30 minutes to do this website. Like this is polished. Like this is done. You could package this up and sell this straight away. So we thought perfect use for our demo today of how you would take this site and then style it through Figma and update all our components, and then we're going to build it in Webflow. So I'll just run you through this Figma kit. So if you follow me, Adam, I might jump around the file a little bit. So I've taken Benten's design from the burger website, and what I've done is I've gone through and updated that style guide that I just mentioned. So in here, I've added our text styles, added a new heading text style just for the really big heading on the hero, updated all our fonts to match the new ones, added our colors, and then shadow styles, and updated all of the buttons. So one tip for anyone watching this who's then considering using Relume library to build their sites, if you override the colors, so in our default style guide, obviously we've got black, white, and there's like a light gray, rather than just like adding in your new colors, if you want to obviously change everywhere there's black at the moment, make that brown, just edit the existing color styles that are in there so that it'll reskin through all of the components, rather than having to go through and kind of like change colors and link things up after. So everywhere there was black, I changed that color to brown. The white is now this off-white color Benten used, and the light gray is this slightly darker gray beige kind of color, and then added in our like salmon, I've called it, and green accent colors. So the power of that, and through our library, is we can go through now into all of our other pages and all of our other components, and we can see that everything through 900 plus components is now updated to use all of our text styles. They've got that brown color, the off-white background. So you've now got 900 plus components, which you could literally drag and drop into that burger website or extra pages for that burger website, and it's all themed and ready to go. The buttons are that new style, text is that new style. And we've also got some page templates in this file as well. So you can see we've got some pre-built kind of best practice home pages and pricing and about pages for various types of websites. So you might have a maybe a restaurant website. If you're just a small business, you've got a restaurant, we've got a best practice layout, which is now styled at least at a basic level and kind of ready for you to use and go. So for example, if we wanted to update Benten's website, going back to look at it, we might tweak is this CTA down the bottom. So I could go into any of our components. I'm just going to copy the first CTA. I might just build this out next to it. Copy our text across. Update our button. We don't need the second one. Then take this image, paste it in there, update our styling. And apologies, I know you can't see this because it's coming through Adam's screen, but I'm just adding some border radius, adding our brown stroke to the image, and then linking up our small shadow style on that image.
Can I just show you something that Damo taught me the other day? That's awesome tip for Figma. I'm just going to revert that shadow thing, Damien.
Yeah, I do want to. Yeah, okay.
Just the shadow. 1 sec. I'm just gonna. Oh no!
It's
Can
not
you? All right, don't worry about it. Okay, so I'll just show you what I learned from Damien. So basically, walk me through this, Damien. How did you originally do this? I think you just like. Oh yeah. So if you click like outside this effects section, I don't know. This might be obvious to you. You're able to actually like paste shadows into other elements, and this might be like super obvious to you, but it's something I learned just the other day. And you can do the same with I think you can do the same with like an image itself. So yeah, exactly. So like if I were to just like revert this image, click the image, click like this part of the image, copy it, and just paste it into here, it adds it in. I don't know if this is like a super obvious Figma 101, but the UX isn't obvious. So I don't know, maybe something that's new to someone else out there.
I know Yankee looks pretty happy.
No, it's so yeah. I don't live in Figma like Benten now, like everybody at Unfold, but I can't remember who it was. Maybe Alex or Evan or maybe even Benten. Somebody just showed me that like a week ago, and I was just, wow, that it definitely is not obvious within their
Yeah. It's a huge time saver.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it especially helps if you don't want to like detach components from obviously their master component to then like swap out that image. So yeah, big time saver. But I'm just gonna detach that from the component.
I ruined that demo. Sorry, my bad.
That's right.
Whoa, there we are. Here you go, drive.
And then paste in our little new badge, and then maybe I might want to like just make that image a little bit taller just to like take up some space. So pretty quickly in like, I don't know, if I wasn't talking on the demo, like that would take me maybe like 30 seconds to quickly knock together a different CTA. And then we could, just kind of dump that in our website, and boom, we've got like a brand new CTA section. And then if I wanted to bring across your amazing background that you made, which we didn't even realize how you did that, then absolute position that, and we've got our background in here. We can just kind of position that, and boom, we've got like a brand new CTA section. So Benten, I don't know how you did this in half an hour, but we came in here and realized that you like had all these vectors and like all this crazy things going on. We were like, oh, I thought that was a paper texture that you dragged in.
Can you talk us through this? Like, how did you do this? Like, how did you come up with this? What is this? It's magic.
Yeah. Well, so some of this I had kind of like existing assets that I've used like in the past. So, like before RDL, we are allowed to prepare a little bit. And so I kind of like get like assets together. Sometimes I'll get like type styles, just like ones that I use. And so that definitely helps. So this one was just an asset that I had, and it was included kind of like some of those like jagged shapes that makes it like paper, and then like that texture and a little bit of like the shadows.
Yeah, insane. Like look at that, the layers panel on the left, like the masking and like the amount of like grouping. We saw that, we're like, holy, I thought that was a paper texture of bloody Google Images. It's crazy.
You can do a lot in
Yeah,
Figma.
yeah. And this,
Yeah.
yeah, so if you were to like minus that, oh, sorry. If you were to like minus some of these, it's just like, it is just texture, flat texture, but
Yeah, you have so much
pieces.
depth. Yeah.
Awesome idea.
So
But yeah,
that's kind of like the end of the Figma side of things. But yeah, just showing the power of the style guide to update all your components, and then being able to like mix and match things in there pretty quick. So I might just revert this back to what it was, like we had, and if you're going to put it probably ready to put that one, and yeah, throw it over to Adam to show us Webflow.
okay. I think Demo said he's going to pass it over to me. So, yeah.
Can I say one thing real quick
I did.
before you start? I just wanted to say that you guys creating all, I know it was all done originally for Webflow, but then you guys creating all of this for Figma, I feel like is huge. Like, I know that a lot of Webflowers are in two camps. Like, you either just start in Webflow because you can move really fast, or you start in Figma and you create, everything there first. And even on like a lot of the template pages I've seen, or like Webflow template store, a lot of the designers are now like offering the Figma file with their Webflow templates. And like those, I feel like those people are doing really well because they're offering that, and that speaks to both camps. So for you guys to come in here and like create this entire system perfectly for Figma, I mean, that style guide was beautiful, to be honest, just looking at it. And yeah, I don't know, I think that's a huge draw for a lot to be able to have it in both spaces.
A bit of a backstory to that though is so I'm like one of those people that just usually just jump straight into Webflow, and like I believe that you can get very far by just jumping straight into Webflow. But you do, when you're working on client projects, you do want to take the client through like the design process, and you do want to move quickly with like experimenting with different designs and sharing that with the client and getting their feedback. And Figma's great for that. Turns out that that's what like most people do. They still use Figma in their process. But if I'm working on a personal project, I don't really need Figma. I just jump straight into Webflow. So in the beginning, we're like, well, do we really need this Figma file? And everyone was asking for it, and we're like, okay, we'll build this Figma file, but we'll sort of put it on our roadmap. We won't build it right away. And then this team came to us called Minimal Square, who, if you look at the style guide, we credit them. They came to us with this Figma file of our Webflow components. Like they had built like 600 off the bat, 600 components for us in Figma. And they were like, we really like what you guys are doing. And here you guys, this is free for the community to use. So that's why this component library is free. Like you can download it today and you have 1,000 components that you can use, and it's completely free. And it's thanks to the guys at Minimal Square. No promises that it'll be free forever, but as we start to build more functionality, but right now, if you download it, you can get it for free. So yeah, that's a little bit of a backstory, which was pretty amazing. That like when you have a really good, when you have a community, or when you're tapped into a community of people that enjoy your product, like some really amazing things can happen. And that's what happened. That's like the origin story of this Figma kit. And then from there, we've built out like the rest of it. We added the style guide, and now we're looking at like just optimizing this and like making it better, doing mobile versions, and like, yeah, just improving this and moving. Like we're building out a few features with Figma as well, so that work with our component library. So yeah, it's become a pivotal part of what we're doing now.
Minimal Square, it's on the welcome page, by the way. The shout out to them, just 'Cause-
Yeah, sorry.
yeah, we're not giving
Sorry,
them.
there they are.
They're
Oh,
there.
nice.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah,
they're
they're
awesome. But yeah, that's how this
That's cool.
Figma file came about. But yeah, so from here, I'm going to take over, and I'm not going to build this entire website because I don't think we'll have the time for that. But I'll at least start the process. So I guess if you're a Figma designer and you're sort of heard about Webflow, interested in like starting to build with Webflow, this could be a good place to start. So you start with a Figma kit, you design how you want to design the website. And then once you've designed the website, this is the process. So like, I'm going to start with just this like nav bar, just to sort of preface, I have exported all these assets. So I came prepared. So I have all the assets, and I also added in all the fonts and colors into Webflow. That would usually take me like 5 minutes to do. But I didn't want to do that in front of you guys because it's boring to look at. So I just want to jump straight into the build. So yeah, so the very first thing is that every single layer here has the name of the component. And so we want to match the component with the component in Webflow, which is in the Relume library. So we have navbar 3. So if I want to find that navbar 3, I can go to the library, and I'm just going to type in navbar 3, and I'm going to copy that in. So if I actually like go to the page, let me just get that up. That's what navbar 3 is. So this is the Webflow component. So from here, what I can do is I press copy, but basically I can copy the component, and I'm going to now paste it into my Webflow project. So to start a project with the Relume library, we have a style guide clonable that you'll need to clone, which basically comes with the style guide that, very similar to the one in Figma. So you'd want to go ahead and clone that and, create your website based off of that. So let's just pretend that we fast forwarded and we've landed.
I just saw there were like 20,000 clones or something like that. Jeez.
Yeah. So we have the style guide, which is on this page. Now, as I said, I've updated that style guide. So it has all the new colors, it has the shadows that we use, has all the buttons, and yeah, it's basically ready to go. I've even like swapped in the logo so that, when the client uses this, it looks super professional. And then I'm going to go into the homepage. I'm going to just start building the website. So the very first thing that I'll do is I'll just delete this message because we don't need it. And you'll notice that on the left-hand side, we have like this structure, and this page structure is consistent for every single page. So we have a page wrapper, which basically wraps all the elements in a page. We have the global styles. So these are like CSS properties that we can use that are that sort of fill in the gaps where that Webflow has. Like for example, classic ones like pointer events off. If you don't want to have any pointer events on over a like image, just want like no cursor to show, then you can use pointer events off as a class, things of that nature. So we have that as our global styles, and we've made that a symbol or component, and that is used across all the pages. Then we have the main wrapper where we like have all the components, and this is just for like, this is how you should structure a page basically for like SEO. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that nav bar that we had, and as you can see, I've already pasted in the nav bar, and you'll see that the button has styled, and that's because we've just recently built a Chrome extension called Class Sync that basically syncs all the updates to the classes with the components. So basically, if without Class Sync, if I were to paste in that component, it would paste in like the original button, but now with Class Sync, it syncs and it updates the class so that it looks and feels like your website. So the next thing that I'll do, yep, any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, so if you were to paste that navbar again, does that Class Sync fix issues with Webflow's automatic like renaming of something? When you paste a duplicate in, it'll say, we renamed navbar 1 to navbar 2. You know what I'm talking about?
Correct. So that's what it does. So the original like version before class sync was it would call, like, you'd paste it in and say button 2, and that was an issue. But that only happened when you change the styling, because Webflow duplicates classes that have the same name but are different. So yeah, that's how it works. And now, considering that we've changed the class and what it looks like, it's different to the components that are on our website, and so that it causes like a class sync. It causes class duplication. But we've solved that now, so the process is much smoother. Yeah. So moving on, I can just like go to my links here, and I've just duplicated this link too, and I can go here and like just check out what text is used here. So text, medium, extra bold. So I sort of know what that is. I could check Figma, like just to double check. Okay, so it's 18 pixels and it's inter black. And so what I can do is I can go inter black, and we work with rems. Again, it's just better for accessibility. And so to convert pixels to rems, I'll type in like 18 pixels divided by 16 rems. So you just divide it by 16, and now I have 1.125 rem. So that's what 18 pixels is. You sort of get used to it after a while, to be honest. And so that is the links. So then, you just do the boring thing of pasting these across, menu and contact. I'm also just going to give this a background of salmon. And then I'm going to remove the underline here because we don't need that underline. And then all I need to do is replace this logo, and we've built a fully responsive, let me see where the logo is. 1148. So this is trying to get this very sharp. So, and then
I feel like half my time in Webflow is just doing division by 16.
yeah. I'm just gonna make that a bit taller. Okay, so there we have a navbar that is mobile responsive. So we just need to replace that logo there. And the logo is huge. I would probably reduce the logo on like on a mobile, maybe make it like 200 pixels, but there you have it. Like, most of the component is built and is looking good. So then the next sort of section that I'd work on is the hero section. And so this section is header 26. Need to go find header 26. And feel free to ask me any questions, things that don't make sense. I know you had some thoughts around like the spacing or the margins, Yonki. So let me know what you think of this.
Yeah, I'm already like falling in love with this thing. This is
so
I mean, yeah, so far. And oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go. What were you gonna say?
I mean, even if I can't, if it's more structured, that's not like a stopping point. Like we were talking about earlier, if it takes me to 90%, and I'm probably so used to copying and pasting, and you guys making everything so easy, that last 5-10% is going to feel like such work. But I mean, that's better than anything. And I mean, just the way you guys are presenting this and you walking us through it, knowing how organized you are from Figma to Webflow to the naming to you guys investing in that class sync Chrome extension, all the way to you guys using, I think, client first, you guys using rims versus just pixels. These would all be things that I would be wondering about. And I'm like, wow, you guys just keep checking boxes. How everybody should be building in Webflow.
That we didn't mention, but yeah, it is in client first. So client first uses rems. So yeah, we have followed the client first. Shout out to FidSuite for putting together client first. basically it's a framework for naming classes in Webflow. Enables you to just build like a scalable Webflow website that can last a while. And is also, once you build it in client first and you build more pages, it just becomes way easier because your Webflow project's not chaotic. It's super organized. But yeah, okay, so header 26 looks like this. It's a little different to Benten's design here, but it's like not far off. So this is where like this is where like it just requires you to make like a few tweaks that honestly do not take long. So all it is that we're just going to move the image up further here, and I'm going to just like remove these classes. So these are like spacing classes, and I'm going to just call this header 26 because that's what I'm naming my class. And I don't want to dive too deep into like client first. If you don't know like what this is, like I would recommend go check out the client first documentation. But basically header 26, heading wrapper, I'll call it. And then I'm just going to go -5 rems probably. And then for this heading, I remember Damien created a heading style. I'm just going to like duplicate this class and call it the same heading as what Damien had. And I think it was quite large. I think it was 180. Actually, I can check here. 180 by 80. So 180, 16 rems, and then 0.8. And then there's actually like a max width on this. So I'm just going to move this out and then update the text. Then I'm going to add a text color class, and I think it's light gray. I'm gonna add that and just change it to the light gray that we have here. And then that obviously doesn't look right, so I would go ahead and I'd change the background to salmon. Okay, so that's sort of looking better. Let's see, grab this. We want to align center. So I'm just using classes to do a lot of these actions, right? We don't need this, so just delete that. And I can delete this as well.
Yeah, I mean, all of those classes preloaded is what would make this so quick is, instead of going in and saying, flex box center, this, that, changing the color of the div, maybe to drop down to style down to the text, it's literally just creating or just picking one of the combo classes.
Yeah.
In most of the instances, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. There are places where you can't rely on a combo class or like a global class, so you make it custom. And actually, you should be creating a lot of custom classes because it's just like a safer bet. But for things like spacing, it's just spacing and text and color. These are things that are like the global elements. That is the system. So if you use the same class across the entire website, all you need to do is change it in one place and it adapts across the entire project. So this is where like a system is really helpful when you start building like larger websites. Even smaller websites, it gets quite helpful too, because there are a lot of instances where you might use that particular text and you only need to change it once. So yeah, that's why we rely on classes. So yeah, for this image, I would then just like make it the same dimensions. So make that 100% width, and this feels a little large. I think it was 700 pixels, which is a lot. So I'd probably just like condense it maybe. I don't know, just so you could probably see the text. And then we have like on every component, we have padding section large, basically provides the padding above and below. And this is all mobile responsive, so it adapts. But for this particular one, it's a bit different because Benten's gone and had added some different margin above to what's below. So I think it's 96 below, 24 above. I don't think that you need to match like pixel for pixel, I think you can get it like pretty close. So 7 rems, I think actually, if I do the math, 7 rems is 112 pixels. Maybe you'd want to change it to all your padding sections to 6 rems to get it closer to Benten's. I think that works out to be 96. But you still have this issue with the padding that's above here. So this is where I'd go and change, if you know your classes well, to padding vertical. And then I'm going to go padding bottom. Padding, I'll go padding bottom, and then I'll go padding huge. And so what that's going to do is it's only going to give me padding below. So I'm using the padding bottom class. And then I'm just going to add that 24 pixels, which is 1.5 rems, to the above here. So I've basically reshuffled a few things to achieve this hero section, but in all honesty, it's like not that much work once you understand the classes. And then for this image, it's pretty straightforward. I think it's like, actually, what is it? 48. So 3 rem radius. Wrong one. Image. 3 rem radius with a border. With a border of 2 pixels, and then I can just replace that image with the.
Dang, that's so fast.
And there we already have yeah.
It's cool
And
seeing
I actually
like
don't-
this flow because I live in Figma all day. I don't do like the Webflow side, so it's really cool just to see like how quickly the Relume library can like get you set up from like Figma to Webflow. Like what did that take you? Like 15 minutes maybe to do all of that? It's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quick, and like to build something like this is super quick as well because we have like this pre-built banner thing. So I'll quickly just build that and we'll finish up on that because it's quite easy and it's quite effective. So banner 11 is what we're using. So I'm just going to go straight to it. Banner 11. Yeah. Okay, so that basically animates like this. So it's quite easy to change this. I would just say, I think I'd change the text to, I think it's all caps, medium. Yeah, so.
Wait, so banner 11 has an animation attached to it with the copy? Or
Yes.
when you press copy?
Yeah.
Man, you should have started with that. Jeez.
I know, yeah, it's
You know,
it's pretty good. This
It's every time I... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I agree with you. Animations, man, they take forever to build. So yeah.
Well,
it's
especially
built
ones that
in.
like a lot of, like these marquee type things that a lot of people build. And you're always going back to a past project to find, one that you can just copy and paste and edit the things. So nice to just go, now I know it's banner 11. I'm just going to banner 11.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, sprinkled through the library, there's uncommon components, which is like a big for us at the moment, and continually putting those out. But yeah, if people were to go to Relume library and go into, I think most sections kind of probably have at least one or a range of uncommon components. They're components like this one that feature animation or some sort of scroll effect. So quite a lot of our uncommon components will be hero headers. Obviously that's like the first main section a person sees when they land on your website. So we've put a lot of time into building components like which animate on scroll, or they have like a moving gallery or some sort of crazy animation built in, and you copy and paste it, change your image or change your text, and it's ready to go. So yeah, like this example, they're definitely worth checking out on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
even the speed of how that banner is. Oh, go ahead. I'm so sorry. I keep doing that. It's hard to do this.
No, yeah. I what were you gonna say, Yonki? Because I think you were gonna say something similar.
I actually was just gonna say that I like the I don't know if it's coming through the same way for people that are viewing this, but like the way that I'm viewing it, it almost feels like it's a staggered marquee, and it feels perfect for like the type of like burger diner that I think Benten, like the style he was going for. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the intentions, but I think that's a Webflow thing. It does stagger a little bit, but maybe it would look different if we publish it. But yeah, it does suit the vibe.
No, I know what you're. I think it's just coming through a little bit different on mine. I didn't
Right.
mean the classic Webflow stagger that you get when you
Yeah.
replace the two things. But yeah, I have another question, but I don't want to interrupt your flow here. I can
No,
save
no,
it till the end.
I think I'm good for questions. I think we've done quite a bit here.
Well, I mean, you did this for real. I think you did it in maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes or so, and maybe less than that. And you explained it the whole way. So you probably
Right.
took you twice as long. That's amazing. And I think for me, remember at the beginning, I was like, you know, margins and spacing, like that's a huge, I feel like that would make things hard for me. But just seeing you do those things real quickly, and that, you know, the system is built to be, you know, not so rigid. It's flexible to be able to build anything. It's just getting you to a certain point with it and lessening your dev time. That's amazing. But one of my questions was going to be for you guys as a company. Have there been any components that have been really hard to build, like as many variations of it as you want because of a Webflow, because of something that Webflow does on their end? Like I'll throw out that not everybody is ecstatic with the Webflow slider, so you can't do a ton of things with the Webflow slider. So have you guys run into any of that, of just like, we can only do 5 sliders, we can't do 40 of them because we don't want to insert Splide or something on everybody's
Yeah, that
site?
one's probably like the most obvious one, or the one that has the most issues, is people don't like the way that Webflow has natively built the slider. And so our opinion on that is we have like a voting board where people vote on components, and we put up one of the months we put up adding like a JS library slider to the product. And then we thought about it, and we feel like the trade-off, we want to make a product that's like easy for everyone to use, including people starting out in Webflow. And we felt like integrating like a slider of that kind is a little bit more, it's more difficult to do, especially if you're coming from the Figma world. And on top of that, it doesn't, like, to integrate it with like your CMS and CMS collections, which is like a lot of content that sliders use. Like we use sliders for testimonials, and we use sliders for blogs and things of that nature. They're like a CMS item. So to integrate that with like some of these JS libraries just makes it even harder. And so we've stayed native to Webflow for ease of use. The trade-off is that you just do not get, like, one of the things people complain about is like the slider has like a bit of a gap. If you do like infinite slide, there's like a bit of a gap. That's like the biggest issue.
Yeah.
But we feel like we could just solve that. And I think we're going to just solve that issue, because once you solve that, it is pretty good. And so we're going to try and solve it in a more simple way than what some of these JS libraries. In saying that, we are still open to it. It's definitely something like we're considering. We're just trying to find like the easiest way to like implement one of those. Damien, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think, in terms of like the original question and like any limitations of Webflow, I think sliders are probably the most obvious. There's like certain things, like I don't know, I can't think of any other like clear-cut examples. Like some things we might have to simplify or build like in a different way just so it works with Webflow, or like, for example, those portfolio sections and making sure that they work with like collection lists and they're CMSable. Maybe like limit some of the options and layouts that you can do, because everything has to be contained like inside the item, and which is then in like a list and a wrapper and whatever. So we'll change maybe how we're building certain components so that they work. But then, we want to make sure everything's accessible for like a beginner. And if there is anything more complex, like those uncommon components, like they're probably the ones that are then targeted at, like, a beginner can use them out of the box, copy and paste, replace images, that's fine. But if you need to customize them, then that's definitely our kind of like expert components that are framed at a Webflow expert who knows what they're doing to be able to customize that. But Yeah, generally so far, yeah, I think we've been managing to kind of get around any limitations that Webflow has and just offer native solutions. Yeah.
Yeah, that made me kind of think of with Webflow, since you guys like have this product, that's integrated so deeply into Webflow. When they make an update, and I'll just use the example of like a while back when they introduced maybe Grid, or maybe when they introduced like Flexbox Gap, things like that. When you guys see those things, because there was like a craze when they released Grid, everybody's like, I'm gonna go build everything in Grid, and like, how do you guys, how do you guys do that? Do you go back and you're like, well, instead of having all of these different spacing, subclasses, I'm going to now use Flex Gap with a row gap or something like
with
that.
the Flex Gap example, we had to do that. So we had to go through all our components and figure out where Flex Gap like makes the most sense. And so we added Flex Gap in the areas that made the most sense. And so yeah, that's what we're constantly doing. We have to do is just to keep them, like, our goal is to make sure that our components are using like the best standards or the best practices. And so like we're constantly improving them in the background. So yeah, the Flex Gap thing, it's like, damn, we have to do that, but it's just but we just have to. It just has to. And to be honest, it does make the process a lot better, because these are like little things that they add up, especially when you're building like heaps of websites and you're using a lot of different components. These little things like Flex Gap, they add up and they improve the experience, for a developer. It doesn't really matter to the person consuming the website, but for the developer, it's huge.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's becoming a bigger thing recently. Like, obviously the library's now like just over a year old. So in the beginning, everything was like right on the like cutting edge of what Webflow had and features that they had. Everything was up to date. And I think it's definitely something that is now becoming more, not like more of an issue or something. It's more something we need to be mindful of as Webflow adds new features like client first, introducing spacing blocks. As those things change, it's definitely something that we're spending more time on, making sure that we're like updating existing components as well as adding new ones, and matching the latest standards.
Amazing. All right. I tried to stump you guys, ask you all the things. I mean, you're over here using RIM's client first, making updates, and Webflow throws out new things. Everything's done in Figma. It's like the full flow for a designer / Webflow developer. So yeah, I'm sold on it. I think everybody should go get the Relume library and give it a try.
Awesome. Have we converted you?
Well, I got to try it first.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to try it out on an unfull client. I need to do something by myself and get the hang of it. So, but I got you guys on Slack, so I'm going to be messaging you like, I do this.
We'll become your support. Your tech support.
Love it.
Well, in addition to Relume, yeah, go ahead, Ben. Sorry, man.
Well, we were gonna say the same thing. I would love to hear. I know you guys got some updates on Relume Design League. I would love to hear kind of like what you guys are up to and what's next. For that, I know I had a lot of fun like participating. What's next for the RDL?
Yeah, so we're doing another tournament in February. It'll be this February 7th. So a couple of weeks away. Super excited for that. We're doubling the amount of players. So in our first tournament, Benten took part in that and did an awesome job. Big fan of your work, Benten. But yeah, we're doubling our players. So I think we'll have eight players this time and 8 matches. And it will be basically we're starting to reveal the players. more information will be coming next week. But I can reveal one player. I know Josh has given me the heads up that I can reveal one player to those. If
Adam, do you want to pull up
the
the RDL site real quick?
Yeah,
As you share.
yeah. We're still working on the new website. Like we haven't updated it for the new tournament, so it's very much based on the last tournament. So basically, the premise of the Relume Design League is that it's web design meets esports. So we bring together the best designers from around the world, and we give them a challenge where we provide them with a wireframe and some assets. So as you can see here, there's some footage of Benten designing. Basically, we provide them with like a bunch of assets and a wireframe, and from there they have 30 minutes to design a website. And so we have different themes. I think Benten participated in the burger theme, as you can see on the right here, and also the electric vehicle theme, where he had to design a page for electric vehicles for, I think, what was the car company?
Oh, Rivian.
Got a blank. Rivian.
Yeah, we had
Rivian.
some options, but that's the one that I picked. Yeah.
Yeah. The outdoorsy EV. It's right up your alley. And so yeah, the rules are basically it's 1v1, 30 minutes. It's live, and the audience / judges vote. So we originally had the audience just vote. This time round, we're going to have a judging panel and an audience. So the audience accounts for one vote, and then we have 2 judges. And so a bit of an iteration. We're sort of improving as we go. But yeah, the next tournament, this was first tournament, but the next tournament will be held on February 7th. And yeah, anything else you guys would like to know?
I'm just excited to watch again. It's like I don't know. It's definitely like the thing that I think design needs is like the kind of its own category of esports. Get your
sure.
your blood flowing.
Yeah. How did you feel taking part in it, Benten?
The first one was like really stressful. I would think I was just not prepared. But the second time around, you kind of get used to like thinking more or thinking less, actually, just kind of trusting your instincts. Like you really don't have time to think. So that's kind of where I think you lean on your experience, is just like using those design principles that you've learned and trying to move quickly.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it'd be good to like check out. Also, you can download the Figma kits or the Figma boards that we use in the actual games. So we have a link to the Figma assets, and you can get a copy. Your one has 700 copies of people that have tried to do the design themselves. Yeah. And so your design was awesome. But yeah, this was the design that Benten did. So that was the wireframe, which is based off the Relume library, and then this was the design. So this was the other one, which was super impressive. And you faced off with Fonz, and he took a very different approach, which was interesting.
Yeah, and we had like video. That's like Figma had just rolled out video, so it was really cool to see like how Fonz like manipulated all those, like created a cube of videos, and he just had way more emotion. It was really cool to see.
Yeah, that was cool. But yeah, that is the Relume Design League.
And I hear that one of the next players created a course in awards. Is that how we're teasing it?
Yeah. Yeah. So
you're not gonna say who it is yet?
Well, Joseph Berry. So he's the first of player that we're announcing, or that I'm allowed to announce apparently. But yeah, there's 7 others, but we have Joseph Berry. So super excited to have him join, because I'm a fan and love his work. So it will be really interesting to see what he can do in 30 minutes. But yeah, I just love, like, I've seen the end product of what he does, which is awesome. I want to see how Joseph Berry gets there. like
Mhm.
what his process is, because
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
wild.
like he has his own approach and aesthetic that's unique to him, and I think that's really cool. So excited to see him participate.
I think that's what's
Yeah.
really cool about the RDL is like that behind the scenes look at how someone designs. You always see like the shots on Dribble and things on Instagram and like the output, but yeah, you don't see the behind the scenes, which obviously this is 30 minutes. This is like a bit of fun. It's a match, it's an exhibition kind of thing. But I think you can still just see the thinking, even from watching yourself, Benten, and other designers, like getting the color palette sorted first, going through like fonts and how they choose their typeface, and just that process is actually really interesting. And then the little flourishes that they'll add in, like, oh, okay, they've done like some sort of background texture which really pulls the site together. They've added kind of these elements throughout the site, and that really takes it from a wireframe into like a really polished design. And you can just see how it changes and like what that crossover point is, that okay, this isn't a wireframe anymore, this is a high fidelity website. So yeah, it's awesome what people can do in 30 minutes. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, Joseph Barry is amazing. I'll be watching that one for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, do you guys have any? I know Yankee and I had a bunch of fun questions, but we might have to save them. Maybe one, Yankee, a really quick rapid fire one, because I know we're a little bit over.
Well, if I only get to choose one, I'm gonna say I'll go one for each of them. I'll start with Damien. Damien, let's just go. If you were a Relume component, which one would you be? You don't even have to give us a reason why. You could be.
CTA 81. Is it 81?
I am gonna go look.
No, I don't think there is a. It's uncommon. The second uncommon CTA. I don't know what. Maybe it's 18. Maybe it's 18. No, 18.
Well, let's see.
Oh, what do we got?
Go uncommon CTAs. Chuck on that filter.
There it is.
No, it's not 18. 38.
38?
Yeah, CTA.
Nice.
You guys have that. You have those kind of sections built out, man. I love me some of them. All right, that's a great one.
That's the
okay.
one,
Well,
that's
since I only get one for each of you, that was a great answer, Damien. Mine for you, Adam, is going to be. Actually, I gotta go two real quick. Number one is, who's your favorite designer?
Benten.
we were.
Josh told me you were gonna say that.
All right, man. Josh knows I froth over Benten. Sorry, Benten, if that's weird. Nah,
I'll take it.
Yeah, I love what you did in the IDL. So I like Benten a lot.
Well, I knew you liked Benten when we were at the Webflow conference, and I showed up for Unfold, and Benten wasn't there. And I think it was you. It could have been Damien. It could have been Slater. It could have been anybody. But I thought it was you, Adam. And you're like, oh man, they sent Yankee, and you had whoever said that had me in tears.
Yeah, I
was
said
dying. That was great. But
Nah.
the real question I want to know is, what happened to the mustache, and are we going to see it again in 2023?
Well, my fiance started to not like it. She started to give me, oh, you're gonna get rid of it, and I was like, I actually drew it out for another month, but yeah, gave it the chop. But it might make a return. Just need to get that approval.
Webflow Conf 2024. We'll see it.
Yeah, every Webflow Conf, I'll come with it. Come prepared.
Well, perfect. Thanks for playing along with those questions.
Nah, that was
just wanted
fun.
to kind of end it on a
Yeah.
fun note.
Yeah.
Well,
Love
thanks
it.
for having us, guys. It's been awesome. You've given us the space to demo our product. And yeah, I hope this is helpful. If you haven't tried out a Figma kit, I mean, it's free. You can find it on our community page. So if you go /Relume, underscore. Maybe just go to the Relume library.relume.io website.
Search for Relume.
Yeah, you can go to the library.relume website, and if you go into browse components, it should be here, and there's a link there. So go check it out.
Yeah, we'll drop a link in the description. Yeah, it's been awesome having you guys. We should definitely try to do a round 2. And then everybody keep an eye out. We'll have more tea times coming up that we'll be announcing soon. So keep an eye out for those. Damian, Adam, loved having you guys on. Yeah, that's it. See you guys.
Thanks for having us, guys. See ya.
Thank you. See ya.